the short answer is an absolute yes. I believe Mr. President, being a visionary, understands that to get Nigeria back on track and to make Nigeria one of the G20 economies, meaning one of the 20 biggest economies in the world, still is a very important component. And something I want to sort of touch on, which Dr. Emeka mentioned earlier, is the other steel rolling mills. The Oshogbo steel rolling mill, the Jos steel rolling mill, and the Katsina steel rolling mill. And part of my visit to all the agencies and all the government-owned plants or former government-owned plants includes some of these visits. So I was in the Jos steel rolling mill recently, which has a new name now. Also, Delta Steel in Alaja is also an important component. And I think part of what we're doing as part of the roadmap is to review some of those, privatization that has taken place, to see what we can do additionally as a government to make those entities function. What has happened is that there was a privatization that took place under the Obasanjo administration. These companies were privatized and they were all, for lack of a better word, or mostly locked up. So a lot of them are not functional, and that is not in the best interest of Nigeria. So what do we need to do as a government to put some of these measures in place? That's a very, very important component. The second thing that is also important that I wanted to talk about is Ajokuta being 98% complete and there's a 2% portion left. No. What had happened was when the Russians moved out in 1994, precisely about 30 years ago, it was at the time 98% complete. But, when you don't start a car for 30 years, of course you deteriorate. So what has happened is there needs to be a technical audit for us to determine what level of completion it's at currently. So there's a lot of work to be done.
That's why I said it's a long-term thing.
Yes, it's a long-term thing, but Mr. President has said that we should use a collegiate approach. Let's not wait for a big bang approach that addresses the whole problems all at the same time. Where are the low-hanging fruits? What can you fix now to give Nigerians confidence that we're on the right track and Ajokuta can work? Which is why Mr. President gave his personal approval for us to source 35 billion naira or $25 million from a local financial institution. We're just at the final stages. Once that is done, we could get the light steel mill running in the next 9 months. Or maximum a year, but I think
do we hold you on this? Do we hold you on this?
I think that's the target. Okay. That's the target. It's difficult to hold me on it because all the critical factors required for that to happen is not entirely within my control.
Precisely.
Right. So the financing, has to be signed off by the Ministry of Finance as well as MOFI. I've spoken to the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, like I mentioned. I've also spoken to the Chief Executive of Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, Dr. Armstrong. So I'm in discussions with all the critical stakeholders. But the target is we can get the plant, the light steel mill, up and running within the next 9 months by the special grace of God, assuming we have the financing today.
That's the target. But